Brilliant. Here we are live. Let me see if I can find the link so I can share it with people. Oh, there it is. Share. Okay. Okay, as usual, guys, let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, hopefully both. And today we are going to do another live session. In these live sessions, the idea is to give me some examples that you don't understand, some Italian that you don't understand, or something to translate, something to work with, or to work from. And I can take a look. And yeah, hopefully we're going to get some good inputs from people. And, based on that input, I can try to help. Let me see. Can people hear me and see me fine? Riuscite a sentirmi e vedermi? I'm asking this especially because I'm connected through a VPN, so something is not right. There you go. I set the stream to private by mistake, so clearly nobody could join. So people now should be able to join. I'm waiting for some input in the chat so that we can get started. Please come armed with questions, or at least examples in Italian that I can go through, so that we have something to work with. I apologize for always making some mistakes. Today, the mistake was to set the live session to private, so people clicking on the link couldn't see it. I believe now people should be able to join. Arturo, ciao Claudio, buona domenica. Buona domenica a te. Bene, domenica senza la maiuscola. In inglese la domenica e i giorni della settimana hanno la lettera maiuscola, ma in italiano no. Mark, sono qui. Ciao. Ciao Mark. Buongiorno a tutti. Amedeo, buongiorno. Bene, bene. Usual suspects. So, avete esempi o domande per me? Especially examples. That would be very nice, because then we can go through the examples. Maybe examples that are difficult, maybe examples that are easy, but you want to ask a question about something. Otherwise, I came up with a little game, and the game is I am going to come up with an example that has a mistake in Italian, and your mission, your goal is to find out what's wrong. By the way, can you hear me? Can you all hear me and see me okay? Um, maybe there's a little bit of delay. Uh, so I'm looking for a sign that you guys can hear me fine and watch. Yes, sound inside is excellent. Perfect. Awesome, awesome. So if I'm going to give you 30 seconds and then we get started. Si sentito? Perfect. Si sentito? Okay, if there is a comma, si sentito, as in I've heard you. Otherwise, si sente. Si sente would be very Italian to say because, yeah, exactly, from sentire. Because si sente, I'm going to write it down in the chat. Si sente uses the impersonal form, as in, yes, we can all hear. Yes, it is possible to hear you, right? Almost like a passive form. Tutto ok per me? Excellent. And by the way, this is quite interesting, right? Someone that isn't used to living in Italy, for example, would struggle to understand that ex me means per me. That's because the multiplication sign is per. That's just how, that is uh, how you pronounce, how you say that word. Più, meno, plus and minus. Più, più, meno, that's plus and minus. And then we have per. So per me, for me, everything is okay. Tutto ok per me. So young people, but actually everyone really, when texting and when trying to be as quick as possible, instead of spelling per with letters, you can just write an X, and that stands for per. It's a little bit like for me, right? For me, this is something that you will see in English. So the same kind of logic. Tutto, Sam Thomas, tutto. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means. I mean, I know what it means, tutto. Oh, okay, maybe you were referring to the sentence that was previously mentioned. Tutto ok per me. Interessante. Yeah, with two S's. Interessante, double S. But yeah, going back to si sente, that's really good. Yeah, sound. Okay, brilliant. Yeah, so is there any example in Italian that you guys would like to bring up? I can bring up something. So I wish I could show you a screenshot. Oh, maybe I can actually. No, I don't think I can. So I'm going to write down a sentence that was on Amazon. So this is the Amazon Italian team. I suspect. I'm not sure. But browsing on browsing Amazon, so this is the main page, there was a piece of text that was quite interesting. It said, ogni giorno ogni giorno è la giornata della Terra. What do you guys think about this sentence? Do you think it's correct? Do you have any comments? Do you understand it? Do you think it's easy? Do you think it's hard? What comes to mind? Maybe you can't understand a single thing. Maybe it's trivial. So let me know. Give me some feedback on this sentence, for example. And I mean, it is quite sad that the team managed to to get this sentence on the main page of Amazon.it. Okay, Sam Thomas, great, honest, don't understand at all. Sherry, every day is the day of the land. Kind of. Very good attempt. Today's newspaper is on the ground. Today's newspaper is on the ground. Oh, I see why you said that. Okay, makes sense. Significa Earth Day. Arturo, I'm not quite sure what you mean, but yes, you mentioned something else that's really useful. So, first of all, what's the difference between giorno e giornata? So, yes, la festa, Earth Day. Yes, so la giornata della Terra. Terra means earth, but it also means soil. So in English, you have separate words when you describe Earth as a planet, and when you describe, a meter square of, digging and finding soil. There's two different words. There's also the word ground. So when you fall to the ground. These are three different words. In Italian, maybe it's good news, maybe it's bad news, but there is always the same word. Terra. Terra means soil, but also the planet. Terra. Il pianeta Terra. Il pianeta Terra. So that's a thing. Also, cadere per terra. This means to fall, to trip, right? Sei caduto per terra. Sei caduto per terra. Question mark. It means, did you trip? Did you trip and fall? Did you fall to the ground? Sì. Sono caduto per terra. I fell. So in this sense, in this circumstance, you would probably translate it with ground. And that's what I think Mark was referring to. Yeah, on the ground. So, but again, you can dig and find more and more soil. In that case, scavo la terra or nella terra. Okay, so we have three different meanings, and this is the first sort of thing to keep into account. Giorno is scusi, sto pensando giornale. Okay, so Mark got confused between day, which is giorno, and newspaper, which is giornale. Giorno is day, Arturo. Yes, correct. Giornata means the entirety of the day. It's a greeting. Yes, you're correct. Kind of. So you know more than most because you've seen that sometimes people say buona giornata, uh, buona buona giornata, right? Instead of saying good morning, you can say buona giornata. It means have a good day, have a nice day. People can also say buongiorno. So they can actually both be part of, they can both be greetings. And so, yeah, that's important. Something else that I wanted to mention is, hold on a sec. Right. So the difference is, and you mentioned it, and it was correct. Uh, Giorno means day, fine. So, for example, un giorno, 2 giorni. Giornata has to, is the same word. Sorry, it's a different word, same meaning, but the connotations are different. So this means that it's used in a slightly different way. How different? Giornata focuses on the fact that there are parts to the day. There is the morning, the afternoon, the evening. So you can imagine the day as a sequence of time windows, right? So if I ask you, have you had a good day? It would be very strange to say, hai avuto un buon giorno. You will never hear an Italian say, hai avuto un buon giorno. It would be strange. People would understand. But the idea is that you would say, hai avuto una buona giornata. This is because we're not talking about 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 100 days. We're talking about the entirety of the day that has just gone past. And we want to reflect on that and ask, how was the day, as in, how was your time throughout the day? So this is the subtlety. You can forget subtleties and learn basic Italian and then get to the subtleties with experience, or you can learn them straight away. The strategy is up to you, but I'm just giving you the information in this session, right? Because we don't want to spend hours talking about this. We don't want to spend days talking about days. Giorno is day. Giornata means the entirety of the day. So that was spot on. So let's go back to the original sentence, which I already forgot. It was the Earth Day. Ogni giorno è la giornata della Terra. So in this particular example, the reason why there is giorno and then there is giornata is just a choice. I guess the sentence is very short. It repeats the same word twice. So saying giorno twice would sound bad. Otherwise, you could say oggi è il giorno della Terra. Oggi è la giornata della Terra. They're kind of equivalent, in my view. So the reason why they're used in this way in this sentence, that by the way is wrong. So we'll get to why it's wrong, but the reason why they're used in this way is because otherwise there would be a repetition. So we have every day, ogni giorno, every day, è, and then la giornata della Terra. So well, let's call it Earth Day. Earth Day. So every day is Earth Day. That's a translation. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to see if you can spot the mistake. It's a small mistake, and everything we've covered so far doesn't touch it doesn't mention why the sentence has a small mistake in it. It's a small mistake, but I mean, I'm very surprised that it got published on the Amazon page. I don't know if it's still there. Probably isn't, because it was just on that day, but does anybody know? And by the way, the people that did not understand Sam Thomas, does it help talking about these things, or are you kind of lost? Is it too much? This is a very, well, not very, but it's a straightforward sentence. But yeah, there's a few things to think about. Even trivial things contain sometimes assume a lot of information. So I don't see any attempt. So let's talk about the last word that we just looked at. È. Ogni giorno è la giornata della Terra. È. All right, it helps talking about it. Okay, cool. Good to know. È is the third person singular of the verb to be. È. Io sono, tu sei, lui or lei è. So it means it is, she is, he is, right? It's the third person singular of the verb to be. It's spelled è with a little accent. This is a grave accent, and we spell it in that way. Accents are very rare in Italian. We spell it in that way to avoid the confusion between this word, chiacchierare buono. Ottimo. È buono chiacchierare, perché chiacchierare è un verbo, is a verb, and the word verbo is masculine. So chiacchierare è buono, nuotare è buono, or utile, useful, that serves a purpose. Yeah. Also, si, and this is kind of the same topic. Well, we'll get to see in just one second, but let's talk about è first. So è is spelled with an accent, a grave accent, to avoid confusion with another word, and the word is e, as in io e te. Io e te. Lei e lui. Io e te. Lei e lui. In other words, and. You and I, she and he, and. So the word and the word is look the same. If it wasn't, they would look the same if it wasn't for that accent, right? So that accent is a grave accent. The other accent that exists, and there aren't many, there aren't 10 or 12 or 15 different accents, there's only two, is the acute accent. And that is this one, the one that just goes like this. And the problem with it, there is no problem. On the sentence that I've seen on Amazon, they got the accent wrong, and that's a little bit of a it's disappointing. It's like basic language. So yeah, it's interesting. And I thought I would bring it up. I never remember which way the accent go. Um, I mean, give me an example, because as I said, examples of Italian words with accents are very few, right? Like novità, una celebrità, sanità, and the idea, the pattern is very clear, right? The grave accent is everywhere. So, in other words, when we think of words in Italian with accents, 9 out of 10, if not 19 out of 20, we're talking about the grave accent. It's only in very few cases that we have the acute accent. And I don't want to get into the pronunciation conversation because that's a very long conversation. And again, like we spend ages on it in the university for this reason. But I suggest that you pay close attention to the difference in pronunciation between "e" and "I". So the grave accent "e", which is the most common one, "a", "I", "o", "u", is making the sounds open, while the acute accent doesn't. "I". For example, the word for king in Italian is one of those rare cases where in Italian we have the acute accent. So this is how you spell king, re, and it's re, not re. It isn't an open sound because we don't have the grave accent. Another rare case is perché, which is not perché, is perché, and this is the same thing. We use the acute accent. Right. Dopo finisci. Ok, Arturo ha una domanda. Dopo finisci. Posso fare una domanda? Cos? Quale è corretta? Sono qui o sto qui? Stare verso essere e quando si usare. Okay. Yeah, so this is clear. Very, very good question. Yeah. So when at the end of the word, so Sherry is asking, when at the end of the word, so when at the end of the word is always pointing out to show that the last accent is stressed. Yes, absolutely. So you're talking about, this is the reason why I didn't want to go too deep into pronunciation unless people think that it's the case. Pronunciation is my favorite topic. You're talking about stress, right? In other words, the Italian word novità. So news in Italian, novità, novità. According to the Italian patterns of stress, we have 3 syllables, no, vi, da. And according to the Italian patterns, we should put the emphasis, the stress, on the penultimate syllable. So it would be novita. If I lived in a world where novità is not a word, it doesn't mean anything, but I was an Italian native speaker, they show me the word with no accent, nothing, novità. The way I would pronounce it is novita, novita. The reason why is because in Italian, the pattern is to put the emphasis on the penultimate syllable, which would be the second syllable in this case, novità. We have 3 syllables, so the one in the middle would be the penultimate one, right? We start counting from the last syllable. So we go 1, vi. So it would be novita, novita. But yes, if we have an accent, so if we add the grave accent, the accent decides that the stress is at the end. Novità, novità. And that's why it becomes novità, with the stress on the last syllable, just like the French, right? In French, you do that. I can't speak French, but that's the main pattern. In English, it tends to be the first syllable. So the accents break the pattern. Yeah, perché instead of perché. It should be perché, but it becomes perché due to the accent. Okay, Sherry says, okay, never mind. You just showed it is not. I didn't word that very well. I was just trying to remember which way the accent goes when used to show the last syllable is stressed. Oh, either one, either one. So whenever there is an accent, the accent is at the very end. You will never find an Italian word with an accent in the middle or at the beginning. Never. So the accent is always at the end. And every time we have an accent in Italian, then that means that the stressed syllable is the end syllable. So that's true. That is regardless of whether it's acute or grave. So novità, perché, one is grave, the other one is acute, and they both do the same job as far as shifting the stress to the end syllable. Novità, perché. Okay. So going back to Arturo, sono qui o sto qui? Stare? Okay. So intanto quando si usa, you say quando si usare. After si, the si impersonale, we will we need to use the third person. So it's called si impersonale, but it actually has a person. It's the third person. Si usa. Quando si usa? When do we as people use it? Quando si usa? Okay. Stare verso essere. Okay. Sono qui, sto qui. So if you want to say I am here, you should use I am here. So use the verb to be. Sono qui. A few people say sto qui. A few people, I mean, it is like you will hear it. You will hear Italians say sto qui. It's not correct. Sono qui. So I would reply to that. So your question is generic, right? Because you haven't provided me with an exact example. So if I answer it in a way that's generic, I will say use to be and stick with to be. If there's something that makes sense, in English, for example, I am here, you are there, then use the verb to be in Italian. Sono qui, tu sei lì, for sure. And then with regards to when to use stare, you will use it a lot as an auxiliary verb. For example, for the progressive form, I am doing. sto facendo. I am sleeping, sto dormendo. So we use the verb to stay to actually build the progressive form. So that's one use. Interesting, Arturo, because I said sono qui. Yeah, sono qui. I would stick with to be. Va bene. Grazie per la domanda. È una buona domanda. Direi in generale usa essere, essere. Usa stare solo per il progressivo, la forma progressiva. I am doing, I was doing, o quando serve il significato di stare. So, or if the meaning of the sentence requires the verb to stay. For example, stay still, stay still, stai fermo, stai fermo. In this case, the verb to stay is required because the sentence itself, wouldn't make sense. The whole point is to be in a certain position or in a certain state and maintaining that state. So we need to use to stay because the meaning wouldn't be as clear if we used another verb like the verb to be. Tante informazioni, imparare, ma è divertente. Very good. Yeah, I really like, I really admire people that, you guys that, trying to, improving all the time, making progress, that this is not about getting things right. It's about trying. And, we will never stop trying. We're all learning for sure, for sure. I'm also learning sometimes, by the just by reading the questions, and they just give me a different perspective, or yeah, just learning things that I didn't know before. Yeah, it's important. At least I find it important. I found it useful in the past, and I find it useful now to laser focus on something. Sometimes horses, they become more efficient when they are when they have their vision limited to just a few degrees of freedom, and I think that works well with humans in certain ways, right? So for example, I would avoid learning different words that have similar meanings. I would prioritize, yeah, put blinders on. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah, exactly. And prioritize learning how to say all the things that you need to say in order to have a conversation, whether it's with the mirror, with someone, online, offline, in Italy, wherever. Prioritize function, right? Dove imparare l'inglese? In scuola. Um, I have my unique story that doesn't apply to anyone else, and so yeah. But to answer your question, I learned English by listening to Lil Wayne's songs, and then I just did a lot of work. I had a few mentors, some important mentors, and they've been incredible. But the process has always been the same for me, um, to assume that the people that speak the language, to assume that the people that speak the target language are not smarter than me, right? We're all sort of the same, right? Population by population. And so learning from them how to speak, learning sentences, avoiding learning words. There are little tricks that I think are very personal, but that help me. So I learned it. I learned the basics in school, but I couldn't speak a word when I first moved to England. So I can't really give too much credit to school, to the schools. And I believe that the only education is self-education. Nobody will ever learn things from me, and so inspiring. Yeah. Well, I think hard work is always inspiring. The hard work you're doing, the hard work that people on here are doing. I see people connecting on the various chats and send me email week after week. And language is very. I mean, I don't want to get bore people, but language is a very tough teacher because it's not like another. Uh, it's not like many other things. Like if you learn boxing, you're going to be half decent in 2 weeks. You're going to be decent in a year. You're going to be really good in 5 years. But with languages, you're kind of completely useless until you get to a certain point where then the whole world opens up to you. So you have that activation energy and that time that's very painful. So you learn a lot about the language, the target language, but you also learn about yourself, how to learn things, how to go through, tough times. It's really good, I think. But yeah, to summarize, I encourage people to learn by themselves. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't find partners to learn with, but don't um, delegate the responsibility to something else, like an institution or something, to learn things for you. Seems like rewiring the brain. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Force yourself for at least 30 minutes or 10 minutes or 5 minutes or an hour to think in Italian, even if you can't, to say basic things, put the pen on the table, sleep, turn left, simple things. And never learn words, always learn phrases, sentences, because words by themselves, I mean, these are personal suggestions, that things that I've applied, but maybe they don't work with other people, or people have better ideas. If you have ideas, by the way, if you have strategies and techniques that you use, feel free to share them. Esatto, condivido. Bene, bene, bene. It's been 40 something minutes, so I'm already tired. Do you guys have any more examples, or maybe just one example or one question that we can go through? Otherwise, we can wrap up, and we can one thing that I suggest is two things. First, click like on the video so that it gets I don't know, it helps the algorithm, basically, from what I can understand. And the second thing is to prepare some sentences, examples, and bother me with those next time. Hai ragione, Claudio, forse è meglio che parole. Che le parole. Forse è meglio che le parole. O le singole parole. Yes, I think the problem with learning words is not that you're not going to be able to speak. I think the biggest failure would be to learn how to speak your own language in translated. I think that would be doing like a lot of work for nothing. I want to learn how to speak a new language. That means I want to have more tools to think differently, and in order for that to happen, I need to be patient, and I need to learn phrases. I need to learn sentences, and then I can perhaps make sense of the words once I see them in different contexts and stuff like that. And of course, basic words you will always have to learn, right? How to say phone. I mean, there isn't really anything other than picking up the dictionary and looking it up. But when it comes to I'll give you a hand and things like that, then yeah, I like to try to keep a diary in Italian every day. I find writing helps for me. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Write simple sentences, things that you think you know how to write, and then when you get stuck because there's something that you wish to say but you don't know how to say, maybe there is a completely different way to think about it or a different way to say it in the target language. So yeah, bring it up next week or bring it up at some point in some fashion so that you learn how to say what you want to say. um, Again, nothing wrong with learning words, right? I don't want to bash on people that learn words. Learning words is very useful. My vocabulary is very limited and has always been limited. I honestly, I don't care. If I need to learn a word, I look it up. Right. Okay. I don't see any more questions. I think it's it's getting kind of late for me and probably for other people as well. Thank you so much, guys. The hardest thing for me is understanding spoken Italian. It's so fast, my brain can't keep up. I need to stop translating in my head. Yeah, I think initially, just don't worry too much about understanding people. Um, make your own sentences, your own phrases slowly. And what happens is at some point you will hear those same phrases or words from other people. And that's when you can sort of interact with the native speakers on that level and ask questions about something that you know something about already. Ok, ciao a tutti. Non dimenticate di mettere mi piace e di preparare so to put the like and preparare degli esercizi, degli esempi. So some examples and exercises for next time. La settimana prossima, yes. Sì, la settimana prossima. Esatto, la settimana prossima ci vediamo alle 2 GMT. Ciao ragazzi, ciao Mastri, grazie Claudio, grazie Amedeo, grazie Sherry, ciao maestro, grazie Fiore, Fiore23, grazie Arturo, Mark, and everyone else that showed up today. It's been really enjoyable chatting about all sorts of things, pronunciation, a little bit of strategy and philosophy with regards to learning languages, and yeah, the differences between accents and the stress within words. All right, I'm gonna close the session now, and thank you all for coming. I'll see you next time. Bye.